was going to work, but it's pretty decent.
Then it kind of take it back to the original stuff. It doesn't have like the Bride of Chucky like real campy shit in it. Does it?
That's the thing. It's like the first half. It's their first season. Mm-hmm. So like half of this season goes back to the original trilogy, how it was very straightforward and actual horror. And then it dives into like where they were at in the timeline for the newer, like Bride and on. So it intertwines both of these the worlds, I guess, into one. Without, I'm not sure if you're gonna watch it or not, but
maybe I might give it a go. I asked you last week or 2 weeks ago if Dourif was still doing the voice because I had seen a commercial for it and they had the Chucky voice. I was like, is that Dourif or not? Because it kind of didn't sound like him, at least in the commercial, but maybe he's just older and, his voice has changed from, the late 80s when he was originally voicing Chucky. But I'm glad that he's back.
Yeah, it's him. I think his daughter's involved too, Fiona Dourif.
Okay.
Is in the show as well. So, yeah, it's been a lot of fun. And I'm a really big fan of the killer doll premise. You don't see that enough. Yes, so.
Watch the Living Doll episode of The Twilight Zone. Love that episode. It's got Telly Savalas in it.
My favorite movie theater experience of the year was probably Nia DaCosta's Candyman.
Okay. A movie I really want to see.
I think you're going to love it, man.
Yeah.
And this is coming from somebody who really doesn't give a shit about Clive Barker too much.
Clive Barker, there's a lot of people that were way into Clive Barker shit, but yeah, that stuff was really weird. The original Candyman is great, though.
Yeah. Which was why this makes sense. And it's funny when people try to say, like, going back to Resurrections real quick, people are like, oh yeah, the Matrix movie that nobody asked for, but nobody asked for Candyman either, but it's amazing. Mm-hmm. Like, it works, you know what I mean? It just depends on how your idea translates, right? I just thought that was interesting, but yeah, Candyman's great, and
Yaya's in it.
Yahya Abdul-Mateen.
This is what, the third or fourth time we brought him up on the podcast.
Yeah. He's great.
He's a good actor. And he was great in Watchmen. If you haven't seen the Watchmen show on HBO, go back and watch that. He's so fucking good in that.
I remember in the theater, Emma turned to me and she goes, "Is that Dr. Manhattan?" It's funny. But yeah, again, I don't want to ruin. It's pretty new still, so I don't want to ruin anything. But great. It's visually appealing because they do like that. I don't even know what it's called, like the paper cutouts, where they're telling like the kind of history and mythos of of Candyman and Cabrini Green through that way. So intriguing, and it's not long at all. It's like an hour and 31 minutes. So it flies by, but
yeah, it makes the most of its time, though.
Yes, it's pretty unsettling, pretty scary, great performances.
And that was one I was really stoked to see. It just came out a little early for my comfort, theater-wise.
Mm-hmm. Luckily, I got to go. We went to see it at Grossmont on the Thursday, which is the preview night, in the big house, and there was like 3-4 people sitting on the other side. We had like the whole fucking theater to ourselves. So.
It's a nice big theater that you can definitely spread out in. Mm-hmm. Some of the movies I've been wanting to watch are going to be in small theaters. I'm not comfortable getting around people. People are not to be trusted. So if I can go see something in a much bigger house, I will. But can you tell me one thing
Okay.
My guess is it's a spoiler. I think I've asked you this before, but I'll ask you on air in case your mind has changed. Tony Todd cameo in it. Does he pop up in it?
I'll decide in editing later, but I'm gonna tell you, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. And it's really cool how they do it. I won't spoil how. So
okay, that's fine. Fair enough.
You won't know where it's coming.
Fair enough.
Man.
I just wanted to know if Tony Todd was in it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because that's another guy that is always really good and has just an amazing voice. So I'm always excited when he pops up.
Honestly, I thought for a long time when the first Venom came out that was him.
It sounds just like him, right?
But apparently that's Tom Hardy.
Yeah, it's just Tom Hardy through some filters.
I was like,
yeah, it does sound exactly like Tony Todd.
But then I guess they hired Tony Todd to do they're releasing a new Venom video game, and he's going to be doing the voice for Venom. So I'm just like, what the fuck? Why didn't you just hire him to do the movie instead of overworking Tom Hardy? We're coming to kind of the end of everything that we loved and didn't love, for that matter. So what was your favorite release of this year?
My favorite movie of the year, no surprise to you, maybe to some of your listeners, is Dune. Because I'm a huge sci-fi fan.
Mm-hmm.
And Dune is one of the classic sci-fi stories. A book that I like very much, don't love, because I think it is a bit overrated. But is still a very good read. And I enjoyed it a lot. And I was so fucking excited to see Dune. And then with everything last year, the pandemic, I was really scared that they were going to end up releasing it at a time when most theaters weren't open and it was just going to bomb.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when we kind of found out that it was only going to be the first part of the book. Because I remember the original trailer, I was thinking that was going to be the entire book. And then at some point in time, it was like, nope, this is only the first half. We will do the second half if Warner Brothers allows us, if this does well enough. But I was scared last year because it was a movie I definitely wanted to see in the theater on a huge fucking screen in IMAX with a great sound system. And I was really worried that they were just going to dump it out at a time when they couldn't. So I was happy that they delayed it until this year. I kind of wish they would have delayed it until Christmas, until I realized that, COVID's starting to make the comeback. I'm glad they released it in October when it was actually safer to see shit in the theater. But Dune is so awesome. Cast is phenomenal. If you've read the book, or if you've even seen the first movie, you know that most of that cast is not in very much of the movie. And like we were talking last night, I said, no, in the book there are four main characters. It's Paul, it's Lady Jessica, it's Chani, and it's Stilgard. That's it. Everyone else kind of is in their orbit. But those are the four main characters. Got a chance to see it on a huge screen in the Dolby Atmos house. On the big screen, it was awesome. The sound system kicks ass in that theater, in that auditorium. The whole place is shaking with the deep bass. The Zimmer score is amazing with a good sound system. And just, man, what a phenomenal movie. I'm glad I didn't watch that on HBO Max. I remember my sister asking me, she was like, hey, do you want to watch Dune on Max? I was like, fuck no. I want to see that on a big screen. And then went to go see it, and then a couple days later, Joel texts me and he says, "Hey, I cannot bring myself to watch Dune on a regular TV. Like, let's go see it in the theater." So I went again with him to go watch it. So glad I did. He said he was so happy that he waited to see it in the theater. Saw it in IMAX, as did you.
Mm-hmm.
And was blown away. It's hands down my favorite movie of the year. Not that I saw a whole lot, as we've established during this episode, but thought it was phenomenal. Cannot wait for the second part. I was so worried that they wouldn't get a second part because the movie's very pricey, and I didn't know how well it was going to do since it's pretty hard sci-fi. But I know that it does have a built-in audience for it. I can tell you that a lot of the shows that I sat in on or happened to be there for did big crowds every single time. Everyone that I had spoken to or that had passed me on their way out said, "Man, that was awesome. Cannot wait for the second part." All you Zendaya fans, don't worry. She's a much bigger role in the second part. I know that was something that she had to kind of say, "No, I'm going to be more so in the second part." Because
they
don't meet up until the very end of this movie.
She has flashbacks and stuff throughout, but
she's actually has the opening narration
mm-hmm.
in the film. So I cannot recommend it enough. Apparently it wasn't for everyone, per our discussion last night.
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend it, especially if you're a big sci-fi fan. If you've read the book, it follows the book very closely. So that's good. And just the scenery, the cinematography in it is amazing. Denis Villeneuve, at least with his American releases, I know I haven't seen some of the Canadian films, hasn't made a bad movie.
Yeah. Strong director.
Yeah.
So far.
So, that's me. I know that you watched it. What are your thoughts?
I loved it overall. I'm a big Villeneuve fan, as you know, as everybody knows probably. I thought the cast was stacked, and although
who's in the cast?
Oscar Isaac, Jason Momoa.
Yo, Momoa, you killed it, bro.
Timothy Chalamet.
Chalamet. Who is Paul, who's the main character.
Zendaya.
Rebecca Ferguson is Lady Jessica. She's so good in it.
That might have been my favorite. As besides Javier Bardem, I think
Javier Bardem.
Yeah, Jessica was probably my favorite character. She's so important to the story, really. But yeah, great stacked cast who all,
Stellan Skarsgård.
So good.
Who turns in like one of the all-time great villain performances, and he's only in a few scenes in this half so far.
Disturbing and gross.
Yeah.
And again, great makeup work. Great cinematography. I loved like everything with the spice and everything that they do is it's like a mind fuck.
That sequence might be my favorite sequence in the movie when Paul and Duke Leto, his father, Oscar Isaac, when they go to kind of survey the site with Brolin, and they take the doctor with them, Dr. Kynes, who is a male in the book, changed it to a female for the movie, and it's Sharon Duncan Brewster, and she's so good. In that, when they go to see the spice, and then the transport has trouble, the pickup for the transport fails, and then they have to rescue everyone. That's probably my favorite sequence in the film. It's so awesome. Go on.
Also, that score is just.
It's. I know Zimmer's been getting more like synthesizer and everything from his work with Nolan, but it's kind of an unconventional